Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Kyle Downey, and this is the Sports Download, the show where a Los Angeles native talks sports from a fan's perspective. I might not be unbiased, but I keep it honest and real with you. So, it's been a while since I talked to y'all, so there's a lot to get to. First of all, I want to start the show by mentioning LeBron James' son, Bronny James, how he had his cardiac arrest last week, and thankfully, thank God, he's doing well. And they were able to, it's very scary, but his heart stopped and they were able to bring him back. They were able to restart it. Shout out and kudos definitely to the USC basketball medical team there to be there quick with the defibrillator, the AFib. And shout out to them for getting that done. And, not getting that done, but, doing a great job and being quick to respond and restarting his heart. And thankfully, he's doing well, thank God. He's recently been shown at home. LeBron tweeted out thanking everybody for their thoughts and prayers. And he said he felt it, he felt all the love. And recently, he took him out to dinner, and he was shown happy playing the piano, so I'll update y'all as long as that continues to develop. But just thank God he's alive, first of all, and we'll see if he chooses to play or how his health is later on, like for USC. But right now, it's just thankful that he's okay and he's alive and he's doing well. Thank God. So I just wanted to start that off with that. And like I said, it's been a minute since I talked to y'all, so there's a lot to get to. So let's get going. I saw the question. I saw the question about Anthony Davis. The question has been floated out there on social media and different media outlets. Should he be extended? He's eligible to be extended, I believe, early August. I forget which day, but the first week of August, he's eligible for an extension. And it sounds like from what Aaron Larsoul has been talking to Anthony Irwin on his Lakers Lounge podcast. Aaron Larsoul, if y'all don't know, he's a podcaster, has All Access Lakers show that he does on playback, but he also works in the Lakers front office. So he has great insight there, and he basically is saying that it's a no-brainer that they're going to do it. He hasn't said they're going to do it, but the way he's talking in his tenor, in the sound of his voice, it sounds like they are definitely going to do it. And Dave McMenamin, who's a Lakers beat writer for ESPN, was on the Low Post podcast last week talking about how Pelinka appreciates AD as a Laker and the fact that he helped the Lakers win a title. And Dave said an extension will definitely happen, and it just depends on the years and the amount. My answer to this question is absolutely yes. Yes, unfortunately, AD has injury struggles each year. He misses time, but there's just no replacement for him. What he does on the basketball court, he's a great guy. I love Anthony Davis. I have multiple Anthony Davis shirts that I wear, but besides him being a great guy, he's an excellent defender. He's one of the greatest defenders ever. One of the greatest defenders of his generation. It's him and Draymond, and I think AD has passed him now as the greatest defender right now. Not only because Draymond is, I think AD in his prime right now, he's a better defender than Draymond. He can guard everybody. He was switching out to Steph Curry in the playoffs. So it's just the only variable is his health. And yes, I'd like to see him play 65 games or more. I hope, and I knock on wood, and I hope that he does. I pray that he'll be healthy, but there's no replacing his value to what he brings. He can elevate a defense. When the defense was not good last year, he elevated it incredibly, and he can be really good offensively as well. I need to see more on the offensive end at times, but his defensive load is carrying a lot, and in the playoffs we saw that I don't think he was 100%, and still his defense was incredible. So definitely trade AD. Those are my thoughts. Not trade AD. Whoops, I don't know where that came from. I wouldn't trade AD. Definitely extend AD. I probably got baseball trades in my mind, but definitely extend AD to the 3-year deal that they can offer him. I think it's 170. Yeah, that seems like a lot of money. Not as much money as Jaylen Brown. We'll get to that later. But it seems like a lot of money now, but the cap continues to go up, and so it's going to be less percentage of a cap. But it will be more. They will have to be more decisive and precise on roster moves moving forward, as you know, LeBron and AD, when LeBron leaves or retires, his cap percentage going down, but his money going up. They will have to manage that, and it's an interesting trend that we'll have to follow and see what they're going to have to do with these max contracts. It might seem like it seems like they might get to a point where, hey, we won't offer you the full max, but we'll offer you this if you're not quite that guy, because there's only maybe 10 guys that should be paid that much in the league. And I think Jaylen Brown probably got overpaid because he's a great player, but he's not top. I don't know. He's not top 10. I don't know where he's at. Maybe top 20-ish. But I think they had to pay him at this juncture, but I think he's overpaid. I'll talk more about that. But AD is definitely worth the money for now. It's just moving forward with the structure. If the salary cap and the CBA continues to be this way, it's going to be interesting who gets a full max and who doesn't. But at this point in time, AD is going to get a full max. I see it happening. McMenamin sounds like it's happening, and Aaron Larsoul, like I said, it sounds like it's happening. So it's definitely happening. McMenamin also mentioned something about Jackson Hayes could possibly start, and yeah, that's not great. That's not great. I would prefer AD to be at the 5, or if they were to sign Christian Wood, if that happens, it looks like that's going to happen, but it's taking its time. I don't see Hayes as a starter, hearing the reputation that I've heard. Hopefully he can, unless it's like how JaVale McGee used to start, and then they would throw him a lob and he'd play a little bit, but then AD would be in the closing lineups. Yeah, it's not preferred really, because the AD at the 5 lineups in the playoffs and the regular season are the best lineups for the Lakers. And I was listening to the Lakers exceptionalism pod with Zayas and Cranjis McBasketball, and Tim was going through a bunch of data, and basically it came down to that statistically the Lakers championship year were better with AD at the 5. When he's at the 4, it's still good, but statistically it's better when he's at the 5. He's a modern day center. He doesn't like to play the center role, but he is a modern day center. He's just not quite a stretch big. His jumper has not looked great. Not his jumper hasn't looked great, but he hasn't been the 3-point shooter that we had hoped that he was during the 2020 year in the bubble run. His numbers have gone down. Hopefully he'll take some more, and hopefully he can bring up his percentage to like a mid. If he got to like 34%, that would be great, because it would help. But just defensively, I understand he doesn't want to bang with centers, but I don't know if that actually decreases injury. I just think he is at a point where he's going to have injuries. Some of his injuries are freak, but unfortunately it seems like he does get injured. So I think honestly he should play at the 5 mostly, but if they can still win games and get to a point where you want to be at least top 6, or definitely I would prefer to them to be top 4, to not have to stress so much in the playoffs with matchups and things like that. Whatever it takes for them to win. But if it comes down to, if he's playing at the 4 and they're not winning games, that doesn't make sense. Put him at the 5. Put him at the 5 most of the time, because the regular season it matters. It matters. It's mattering less sometimes, but it matters in this way. Not getting into the 7th spot like they were last year, being in the top 6 spot, being the top 6 seed, and getting to a point where they don't have, like I said, don't have to worry about making the play-in, because the play-in is just extra games that I wasn't a fan of at first. I'm glad it gives teams a chance that have not been healthy, like the Lakers, or they had a bad team and switched it up at the trade deadline, like the Lakers. So now it's okay, I guess. But it's extra games for a guy like LeBron, who's going to be 39 next season, and AD, who gets injured, and it's unnecessary games to be played in that respect, where it's like you don't want to be putting yourself in that situation. So if it comes down to that, I put AD at the 5 most of the time. Moving on, a lot of stuff to hit through. Let's just download it like the show goes, like the show is called, Sports Download. Also, Austin Reaves was on the All the Smoke podcast. I listened to that. I was really pleased that, he's excited to be a Laker. He's excited to be back. He talked a little bit about having a signature shoe and how much that meant to him and how crazy it is. And Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson were telling him, like, yeah, back in the day, signature shoes went to only like a certain handful of guys. And now with different companies, even the lesser stars and the not so known. I mean, well, Austin Reaves, he's a star because he's in LA, but he's not a all-star yet, but he can get a shoe. So great for him, happy for him. Talked about a lot of stuff. Talk about how Westbrook was a great teammate and great friend of his, and was checking up on him when they played they played his rookie year and he had COVID. And just how Westbrook was a great dude, and how it feels to be playing next to LeBron. He talked about the meme of how he's confused about what LeBron was talking about. And he said he didn't know in that moment if LeBron was actually being serious or joking with him. But I remember that moment last year. It was funny because it looks like, it's like LeBron is so smart, and now Reaves is like, what are you talking about? He's like, I don't feel like I get confused a lot, but that's the face I make when I get confused. So that's what he was confused about. And he just talked about what it meant to be a Laker, and Matt Barnes told him I was a Laker, and he's like, it's different. It's not the same as playing for other organizations. It really is different, where you have a huge fan base, and you're in Los Angeles. It's the second biggest media market in the league, and you're in Los Angeles. It just hits different. It just feels different. And how he grew up being a Kobe fan, all of that stuff. So just great to hear. And apparently Houston and San Antonio were interested a little bit, but they never got to the place where they offered him a deal. And he said once Houston went to Fred, they didn't have any offers for him. And San Antonio, I think they thought about it just to mess with the Lakers, but it eventually didn't offer him the sheet. And I think they should do away with restricted free agency, because it's not free agency and it's not right. But he's getting a bag, but not as big of a bag as he would have got. But he's still really, really got a huge raise, so good for him, and I'm glad he stayed with the Lake Show. He also mentioned, it was actually Matt Barnes that also mentioned a really cool story. It was during the playoffs, and Kobe's sister hit up Matt Barnes and said, hey, do you know Austin Reaves? She said, my son that's his favorite player is Austin Reaves. And so for Kobe's son to hit up trying to get a hold of Austin Reaves for his birthday, Kobe's nephew, excuse me. So Kobe's nephew is a huge Austin Reaves fan, and it was his birthday coming up. And then Matt Barnes was able to get in touch with Austin Reaves, and then Austin said, oh yeah, and then he sent a video for Kobe's nephew, and I saw the video, and the kid they recorded him trying to watch it, and he couldn't even watch it. He couldn't even open up the video without tearing up, and that's just beautiful, man. I was telling my wife, I love it, because Austin Reaves, he gets it. Austin Reaves gets it. He gets what it means to be a Laker. He gets it. Kobe was his role model, his favorite player. Kobe was his favorite player growing up. And so to then pay it forward to Kobe's nephew is just something special about that, and just make the kid's day. And it was beautiful. And I just think, he doesn't have to do it, but he gets it, and he gets how important that is, and how cool that is for him, because he was a fan of Kobe, who was a Laker, and now to be a Laker and be Kobe's nephew's favorite player and be able to give back to him, it's just some special special, paying it forward type of stuff right there. I love to see that. And also, he said that he didn't, he doesn't know Taylor Swift. He never met her. There was that silly story that came out that he was dating her. That's how you know you made it, when you're getting rumored to be dating a celebrity. That's how you know you made it famous. He's like, I never met her, and I'm pretty sure, and well, not pretty sure, but last time I checked, Austin Reaves has a girlfriend, so I'm pretty sure he had to clear that up for her, and just clear it up for the world, but also for his girlfriend. So his girlfriend's like, hey, you need to like not get mad at him and be like, hey, what's up with this Taylor Swift stuff? Like, no. So he has a girlfriend, and has never met Taylor Swift, so that was funny. And I mentioned how he really respects Russell Westbrook. Just want to mention that, how much love and respect he had for Russell Westbrook, for how a teammate and a great guy he was. And I would never say that Russell wasn't a great guy. It just didn't work out because the contract was too large with Westbrook. That was the problem, is that he's no longer a star player, and he was getting paid like that. So that was the issue, really. And then later on, it just became an untenable situation. So, but good luck to Russ, and kudos to you for being a good dude, man. He also explained the draft process. When Austin Reaves was going to get drafted, he was a second-round pick, and it came to the point where where the Pistons were going to select him about like 42nd, and he had already had two-way deals. He was in talks. He had tiered the teams, and then the top team was like the Milwaukee Bucks, and then the Lakers were in that tier, because these were teams that were going to give him a two-way contract. These were teams that were going to give him a two-way contract, and he was offered it by Detroit. He was going to be drafted by Detroit, and he saw that, and he was like, yeah, no. So he didn't say they weren't in his tier, but Matt Barnes was like, they shouldn't be in anybody's tier. So Detroit's a rebuilding team. He wanted to go to a place where he was going to start. They already have a lot of young players, a lot of young guys. So he not necessarily start, but where he was going to get some playing time. And he saw Los Angeles as a place where he could get playing time. And so when he got the call from LA that he could sign as a undrafted free agent, he took it, and it paid off. He bet on himself, and it worked out. And he's playing for his favorite player's team. He's playing again as a Kobe fan for the Lakers. So that's extremely special, and just really smart. His agency, I think it's like the AMR agency, really smart, and it paid off for him. He bet on himself, and it worked out. So, and next topic I'll get into is the Jaylen Brown contract as it compares. So I was listening to the Lakers Lounge. It was Anthony Irwin and Harrison Fagan, and they were talking about Jaylen Brown and his contract. And my goodness, that's going to be an albatross of a contract. He's a really good player. He's a great player, but he needs to learn how to dribble. He can't go left, and he's going to get paid like $60 million over the next 5 years. So 5 years, $304 million. And the thing is, that's why it's like AD's extension is a no-brainer, because you don't want it to go to the offseason and have to pay AD something like that, because flexibility, and I love AD, but what if there's a chance to upgrade later down the line? I hate to say it like that, because I literally do love AD. He's like my adult son. I wouldn't trade him for anybody unless it was like Giannis or Jokic, or I wouldn't trade him for anybody unless it was like Giannis, Jokic, or if down the line, if Wembanyama becomes that dude, the best player in the league. But if besides that, I'm keeping AD. So you want to do the extension now, but so Jaylen Brown's contract, $60 million, and this dude can't dribble, and they've been to the playoffs, they've been in the conference finals, and Jason Tatum too. He's not able to dribble either, and I love Jason Tatum, a future Laker, #future Laker. I always say that. It pisses off Boston fans, and I love to do that. It's hilarious. Just a little rivalry, but yeah, I mean, and he doesn't like Boston. He hates it in Boston. So he hates it in Boston. They signed him to this deal. how soon? My thing is, when is he going to ask for a trade? Because he already doesn't like it there. He doesn't like how he was in trade rumors. Doesn't like how they weren't being honest with him. Which, I mean, you gotta expect to be in trade rumors for Durant, especially 2 years ago. But if he feels like they weren't being upfront with him, plus he's a guy that's very much about activism and standing up for black people's rights, and I really respect that. He got a little bit confused there with the Kyrie stuff, and there was some other organizations, but we don't have to go into that. But for the most part, Jaylen Brown seems like a good guy. He's a really smart guy. I think he went to Cal, but he's an extremely smart guy. He could have been some sort of like space, some sort of like astronaut or something like that. I don't know, something like that. He was really smart kid, really smart guy. But just don't go down the YouTube rabbit hole like Kyrie. That's what I would recommend. But besides that, he doesn't like Boston because they unfortunately have a history of racism. And I mean, Bill Russell led them to 11 championships, and they still were calling him the N-word and talking and treating him poorly. And he's one of the greatest. And yeah, that was years ago, but it still happens to this day. A lot of guys don't like to play in Boston because of the racism, because of how it exists. And so I'm pretty sure that's rough. I know it's rough. I've heard from different players that play in different leagues that playing for Boston is not fun if you're black, especially if you're getting yelled racist things towards you, and that just ain't right. So I don't blame him if he asks for a trade, but it's gonna be interesting what Boston would do. I think right now that Boston should try to trade. I don't care. I don't want the Celtics to do anything good. But if it was my team, I would want them to trade for Dame. I don't see why they don't go for it. I know Dame only wants to go to Miami or Brooklyn, but really just Miami. But if I was Boston, I would at least try to trade Jaylen Brown for Dame Lillard. Because if you're trying to win, because Tatum, I mean, I don't see why Tatum would want to stay. He was a Kobe fan growing up. He wanted to be a Laker. I don't see why he would stay in Boston. Yeah, they treated him right, but I don't. Why stay in Boston when there's other options? I mean, yes, I'm biased. Yes, I want him to be a Laker, but I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see a reason not to trade for Dame. Like you trade, and now you got a Dame because they don't have a point guard. If you trade for Dame, at least you got a point guard who can run sets, a clutch player. And then you compare him up with Tatum and Porzingis and all those dudes they got. That's my 2 cents. I think Jaylen Brown's going to ask for a trade. If he doesn't ask for it soon, it's going to be maybe after this season. Maybe after this season, that's maybe he'll play out this season, but that's going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to be a storyline. So we'll have to watch that. Plus Tatum is up for an extension too. And he's up for a contract that's in the same neighborhood as Jaylen Brown. They can't pay two dudes $600 million and neither one of them can dribble, or go. You know, if neither one of them can dribble and clutch, and you haven't been to the finals, they can't do that. So something's gonna have to give. And if he leaves, that leaves the door open for Tatum to come to the Lakers, and then Celtics will be in shambles, and I would like that very much. But I mean, Tatum is a pipe dream. I don't know how that would happen because it would have to be like after LeBron retires or something like that. Next I got here in my notes that Gabe Vincent said he would set a gold medal for Nigeria. He's Nigerian. And he said a gold medal for Nigeria would mean a little more than an NBA title, but he would love to win a title. And he's the newest Laker. If y'all don't know, he's one of the newest Lakers. I totally understand that because pride of playing for your country, and Nigeria has never won an Olympic gold medal in basketball because it's been the United States pretty much all the time. I totally understand that. I totally respect that. And I know that he wants to win. He seems like he's a hard worker. He's worked really hard to get to where he's at. I know he's got the desire to win, so I don't think that means he doesn't want to win an NBA title. He's just saying that winning for his country would mean more to him. So I totally understand that. And then I was scrolling through YouTube, and I've seen some of those YouTube shorts, and the algorithm was showing me some stuff about Kobe, and I just wanted to mention some of those. A couple of those. I saw this thing that Kobe one time he implied that he agreed with Jimmy Butler, how he had that famous practice where he took all the low guys on the roster, and he played against Wiggins and Towns, and he kicked their ass. And Kobe kind of agreed with him in an interview. He said practice should be competitive, and more competitive than the games themselves. So I mean, that makes total sense to me. I just thought it was really great. Kobe, I love Kobe, and I love Jimmy Butler because he has that same fire and desire, and that's why he wanted to leave. That's why he couldn't take it with. I love Karl Anthony Towns, but for some reason Jimmy didn't see that type of same fire in his belly that Jimmy has. Jimmy has worked his ass off to get to where he is, and he's a guy that he's a regular season really good player, but is a great player in the playoffs, and he's just tough, very tough, and I love that. I love that in a player. So I would love it if Jimmy Butler was a Laker. I remember when he was a free agent a couple of years ago. But so that totally makes sense because Kobe was all about toughness, the Mamba mentality, and he was sometimes too hard on teammates. But that's how he got to win the way he won, similar to Michael Jordan, because he grew up learning from Michael Jordan and studying him and studying all the greats, but he really patterned his game off of Michael Jordan. So that makes total sense. And the other Kobe story I was reminded of, which I already knew, but this was told from Dwayne Wade's perspective. He said Dwayne Wade said Kobe loved when he broke his nose when they played in the All-Star game. There was one year they were playing in the All-Star game, and Dwayne did a move and kind of like got him in the nose with his elbow, and then Kobe said, Dwayne Wade reached out to him. He's like, "Hey man, Kobe, I'm really sorry," and then he just told him, he said, "No, I love it." Just Kobe was so crazy, dude. I miss him every day, but he said, "I love it." And then Dwayne said the next time the Lakers played the Heat, Kobe gave him 50 points and whooped his ass. So he loved it because it gave him the inspiration. Like, they're playing in an All-Star game, and I remember thinking, "Oh, dude, why did Dwayne get him hurt in the All-Star game? You're not supposed to get hurt." But Kobe's like, "No, I love it." Like, he loved the competition. He loved that his nose was broke, and then he gave him a 50 burger the next time he saw him. That was amazing. An amazing Kobe story, man. Amazing. Quick shout out to Udonis Haslem of the Miami Heat after he officially retired for 20 years. He was a really good player, tough guy, and a glue guy, so much so that they kept him on at the end of the bench, and he hardly ever played. But he was just such a leader, and I would expect, I haven't seen anything yet, but just my guess is that he'd probably take a job as like a coach, depending on what he wants to do. But if he takes a job as like an assistant coach or like some kind of front office position, I wouldn't be surprised because they love him down there in Miami. So shout out to him because he's just a great dude and has been a great leader for that organization for a long time. So shout out to him. All right, now let's go to the WNBA hoops. So it's very tough to talk about, but I mean, well, not super tough, but I just mean is in basketball terms, my LA Sparks have been struggling. They've been on a downturn. They won a game recently, but they just been, the injury bug has been getting them, biting them bad, and so I'm looking now on WNBA.com and the standings, and so it goes by top 8. Like I was saying before, like, oh, they're 4th place in the West, but it goes by your overall record, and overall, I'm looking at WNBA, so I'm correcting myself there, but overall right now they're 9-16, and they're 14 games back from first, but more importantly, they're 5 games out of 8th place. So they're 5 games out of a playoff spot with 25 games played. So there's 36 games in the season, 11 games left, and they're 5 games out. So it looks like it looks grim, like they're not going to make the playoffs. I hope they can, because I think that would be fun. I think it would be, they tried to win this year, but I think, I like the new coach. I like what they've been trying to do, and who knows, if they would have been healthy, maybe they would be in the top 8 still. But I'll keep monitoring them. Hopefully they can make it. If not, there's Jewel Lloyd up in Seattle that, maybe she wants to come to LA. They call her the Gold Mamba, so maybe she wants to come to LA.
Silly girl.
And then that was my wife in the background with my daughter. She needs to get changed. My daughter's like 1. Thank you, baby. Appreciate that. So also the WNBA, Candace Parker of the Aces, she successfully went under left foot fracture surgery. She's working to be back as soon as possible, but there's no timetable as of yet. Okay, so there's no timetable yet as of yet with Candace Parker, but the Aces, man, they're almost unbeatable. They played the Sparks and they were up like by 20, and then the Sparks came back, but I'm sure it was garbage time. I didn't get a chance to watch the game, but the Aces, I've seen the Aces play. They're so good, and they haven't really missed a beat without Candace Parker. I mean, Candace is like the older veteran now, which is crazy to say, but she's just the older veteran that is coming in, and she's not even averaging 10 points, and they don't need her to because they're so stacked. So I think the Aces look like they're going to be the champions, and they'll if they play the Liberty, they're going to beat them because they're just that good. They just, top to bottom, they look like the best team in the league. They look darn near unbeatable. They've only lost like twice. So yeah, that's that. Next up, Dodgers update. So the Dodgers have actually been losing a lot of games, unfortunately, but they're still in first place. They're still about 3 games up on the Giants, the hated ones, which is great. I would prefer more of a gap than that, but so they have been active making moves before the deadline. As I'm recording right now on Monday, the deadline is tomorrow, Tuesday, August 1st, and I really want it. So let's just get into the moves, and then I'll tell you what I want to see happen. So the Dodgers, they trade for Kike. Kike, welcome back. Trade for Kike Hernandez. Rosario, he's a decent bat, but his defense is not great. But they were able to get rid of a Syndergaard, which unfortunately for Syndergaard and the Dodgers, we weren't able to capture any magic. We weren't able to capture any magic that he used to have, and he might just not be the same player anymore. Sorry about that. My daughter wants some milk, and she's being a little whiny. You'll get some milk, sweetie, okay? Mom's going to get it.
It's upstairs.
Say thank you, Mom.
It's upstairs.
All right, so Syndergaard, they send him to the Guardians, and then the Dodgers. So the Dodgers traded also for Joe Kelly. They got Joe Kelly back. That's great. They also got Lance Lynn, who's a decent starter that could eat some innings. They got Lance Lynn, who could eat some innings for them. They were looking to get Arenado. I'd love to get Nolan Arenado, but the Cardinals came out and said they're not going to trade him. I mean, we'll see. People say a lot of things, and then moves still happen at the deadline, so we'll see what happens on Tuesday. And then the Dodgers are talking to the Mets about getting Justin Verlander. He's older now, but he's still a really good pitcher. His numbers look good. He's only got a 2-year deal. I would do it if I was them because they need starting pitching help because they have injuries right now. So I would definitely do that. And so yeah, there's a lot of rumors and things that are going on with the Dodgers, and we'll just have to see how everything plays out when it comes to Tuesday. I'd love it if they get Arenado. I'd love it if they get Verlander. I wanted Shohei Ohtani, but apparently the Angels are ridiculous and they want to keep him and watch him leave in the winter. So hopefully he becomes a Dodger in the winter. That's just extreme silliness anyway by the Angels. They traded for Lucas Giolito, a starting pitcher, and the relief pitcher Reynaldo Lopez, who the Dodgers could have got, but they traded for them as well. So that showed that they don't want to get rid of Ohtani. They want to try to keep him and try to go to the playoffs, which I get, but it's kind of too late because he's going to bounce. He's going to be gone. He's going to leave, say sayonara. He's going to leave. There's no way he's staying because he said he wants to be on a winner, and they've been losers for like 5 straight seasons. So what's going to make him change his mind? And then I love Mike Trout. He's a great player, but he's also been injured a lot, and they haven't even built a winner around Mike Trout. Mike Trout's only been in the playoffs once. So it's extreme silliness by the Angels, but what do you expect? That's what Artie Moreno does out there. So I feel bad for Angels fans. Hopefully Ohtani becomes a Dodger. And I also want to shout out Orel Hershiser, the great Dodger pitcher. He was inducted into the Legends of Dodgers baseball on Saturday, and I just thought that was really cool. Shout out to him. He was a great Dodgers pitcher for us back in the day, and now he does a great job in the booth when he fills in during the broadcast. So really like listening to him, and that's really cool. And as expected for him to be in the Dodgers. Baseball legends. Quick football hits. Josh Jacobs of the Raiders is still not reported to camp. He looks. The Raiders respect his wishes, but he hasn't signed his franchise tag. And yeah, I don't know. Like I've said before, I do not know what the Raiders are doing. Unless they're trying to be bad enough to tank for Caleb Williams and get him, I have no idea what they're doing. They have Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. He doesn't throw the ball deep, and you have an excellent receiver in Devontae Adams. But Josh Jacobs is a good running back. I understand the running back position is undervalued, but they offered him a decent deal. Maybe they could have offered him more long term, but they offered him, like I saw the rumors, it was like 2 years, $12 million each. That's decent, but I could see him being offended because he's been a great running back for them, and he got an insane amount of touches. As I said before, macro, the NFL union is weak, and they have to be stronger with this type of stuff and get guaranteed deals. But as it pertains to the running backs, position, it's undervalued, but you got to pay the guys for what they've done. It's just insane. It's just insane how they're treating these guys. They provide a lot of production, so maybe a longer term deal or something. I don't know. It sucks how replaceable they are. You can relate if you're at a job where you feel replaceable, and society, companies worldwide, they feel like you can be replaced, and it's like these are people, yeah, they make millions of dollars, but they're putting their bodies on the line every Sunday for you, and you're not gonna show them some respect and decency. It's just not right, in my opinion. A lot of work to be done there, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what happens with Jacobs. He doesn't have as much leverage as he had a little bit of leverage when the other running backs were holding out, but Saquon Barkley signed his franchise tag, and it looks like he's gonna probably leave New York. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. And then other football news, Justin Herbert signed a big deal, 5-year, $262.5 million, mostly guaranteed. Good for him, but unfortunately, he had the bad luck of being drafted by the Chargers. That's what was unfortunate for Justin Herbert, is that he was drafted by the Chargers. Other than that, great kid, great guy, great football player, drafted by a poorly run organization. So we'll see. I mean, I can't say much because the Raiders aren't run well either lately. So, but the Chargers have historically never done anything. So I feel bad for the kid that obviously you extend, but I feel bad for him. He's going to make a lot of money to not win a lot of games. And then unfortunately, Joe Burrow injured his calf in training camp, and he was carted off. And I saw that Cincinnati is looking to add another quarterback to their roster just in case. if Joe Burrow doesn't play, their projected win totals are going to go way down, going to go down by like 50%. So he's obviously an incredible quarterback, and you hate to see that. I'm glad it's a calf. I'm glad they're saying it's a calf injury and not an Achilles. But hopefully he gets healthy, because if not, Cincinnati's going to be in trouble, and they're going to barely stay afloat, and we'll have to see how much time he misses. But so that's what I got for y'all today. We caught up. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Shoot me a comment, a question if you got, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace, love, and God bless.